trying to save it.
All right, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. What do I want to address? Two things today. One, I'm not racist, I'm black. Jordan Peterson promised me in that video that his cult of bigots were much more cerebral. Now, I know that they were going to traffic in the same type of tropes because the people that follow him don't know anything about history. They've never looked any of this stuff up. They don't know that this is white man's burden, bell curve. This is the same old pseudoscience of eugenics that's always existed. It's always had this air of legitimacy that justified slavery, that justified Jim Crow, that justified the freaking Holocaust. And you think you're the first one to really give it some real thought. You're not. There's all kind of elaborate justifications for persecution. It's not invented at this point. It's centuries, and in some cases, variations of it are millennia old, if not back to Cain and freaking Abel. So, I'm not racist, I'm black means racism is about race, which is the pseudoscience for oppressing black people. I am not taking part in the oppression of black people in this society. Therefore, I can't be racist. You can't define it another fucking way. I don't care what the fuck you say. That's how it works. That's what it was set up to do. It justified slavery. It justified Jim Crow. It justifies sharecropping. It justifies mass incarceration. There's nothing a fucking black person can do that can create racism against white people to set up a system to last that long and oppress them in those ways. Full fucking stop. Stop wasting your energy saying black people can be fucking racist. You sound stupid. They can take part in the white power structure against black people, but there's no black racism against white people. It's fucking stupid. Now, when we get all the machinations of society, when we have all of the corporate structures and the governmental structures, state, local, federal, and you start living under this great equality that we live under, then maybe, and at that point I'll be like, well, then there's no white racism against black people because you don't control any of the mechanisms of power. We're the ones barring you from the credit systems. We're the ones incarcerating y'all en masse. We're the ones using our police force as a occupying force in your communities. We're the ones, see, once it's back that way, then finally, at the expense of your survival, when things are completely flipped away from the way they are right now, you will be able to make that case for black people being able to be racist against white people. But until then, shut the fuck up with that bullshit. Thank you very much. Secondly, I want to get on to speaking on behalf of all white liberals. What they are saying, and if you want to continue to refute them, black people will join you in refuting them. But what they are positing is that though this society was born and bred in racism, though the Constitution was written by a great deal of slaveholders, it is a living, breathing document that afforded the amendments, that afforded all of these rights to eventually come, that even the founding fathers themselves knew that slavery wouldn't last. And they took little chips at it that they could in their time, but they could not completely. Jefferson wanted to write it in the Constitution, or Washington free and people upon his death. Things like this, they took little bites that they could to progress things a little further, is the explanation that we're given. Now, if they're wrong, they're wrong. This society is racist, it's meant to be racist, and nobody's meant to have anything but white males in this society. You can press that narrative. Plenty of black people accept that narrative. Plenty of black people are ready to believe that narrative. And will fight for their freedom as we've been doing for the past 4 centuries. The white liberal position is that's not necessary. The whole thing does not have to come down and be burned to the ground. It is the intention of America to live up to the original aspirations, and those original aspirations refute the beliefs of the conservative or the bigoted whites who say this was only supposed to be for our enjoyment and everybody else that's not a white male property owner is supposed to suffer. Now, if you believe that, shut the liberals up. And we'll just have to handle it from there. But if this is not to be a wholly racist, evil society designed to oppress people of color and all of this type of stuff, and the Constitution's a living, breathing document, and even though these people own slaves, they knew slavery wouldn't last forever, and this, that, then that's what we're trying to hang on to. That idea, that is what the blacks who vote for Democrats are voting for. That we're going to move this one more inch, the way Abraham Lincoln intended, the way Washington intended, the way Jefferson intended. One more inch to make it a little bit easier on the next generation until this thing completely breaks open. Now, if that is not true, that's fine. Black people are not begging for that to be true. We don't need it to be true. If you don't believe it, and this country as it stands cannot accommodate black people, we're going to have to set up a different system altogether. From scratch. We can do it by reforming a new government. We can do it by an all-out conflict. But we don't have a road forward where America is great by the suppression of Negroes. That's off the table. That's a non-starter. We're not worried about Second Amendments and whatever else, because for every licensed gun owner, there's 10 unlicensed gun owners. So we're not concerned about that. We're not concerned about whether Trump's going to lead the White House. We're not concerned about any of that. You have opportunity to try to stay put and call the chuckleheads out of the woods from shooting pop bottles if you want. I don't know where you think that's going. So the point of the liberals is you're fighting for white power in a white power nation. We control industry. We control government. We have it better than any group on earth. Why do y'all need this one more little inch of aggravating the minorities? Let them feel like they have something. Let them drive their little cars around and work their little menial jobs. We don't have to press our thumb all the way down on them. We don't have to do dumb shit like George Floyd or have oppressive cops. We can just do regular shit and we can ride this another 500 years. The blacks aren't asking to flip the system over. They're just asking for their fair share. Fuck it, give it to them. If we're going to stay in power and keep all the machinations, they're playing football. We're the owners. We're the governor. We're 9 times out of 10 the damn president. How are you fighting for white power in a white power country? Stop listening to conservative radio, start watching conservative TV, and enjoy the shit. You're white. You're talking about black on black crime. Okay. That's just like the German cowboys. That's just like the Italian and Irish mobs. That's just like the English and Dutch genocidal maniacs who did slavery and the natives. Anybody that's ever accomplished anything in this country came through genocide, basically. Mass murder and crime. Nobody came to anything. They bring up Rockefeller and Carnegie. 2 of the robber barons. 2 of the people who had their workers protest for their working conditions. Yeah, you're able to kick some. I'll tell you what. Give me $1 trillion at my workers' expense. See how much I can donate. Hell, I'll donate half of it. Name everything after me, man. If I can squeeze that out of my labor force like Carnegie did. I'll be one of the greatest ever, donating to every charity ever. I'll start half of it. I'll start them all off with $1 billion each. It's easy once you've squeezed all the blood and tears and dreams out of a generation of people. Once you have a mountain of wealth with the corpses of those under you. But that's the kind of people that you consider great. And inner city drug dealers understand that. That murder, crime, and take from the weaker is the way America works. They understand it. They understand you don't respect anybody but General Lee, Japanese, and the Germans. Everybody tried to wipe you off the face of the damn earth. Those are the people you respect. You know, it's not a Harriet Tubman monument, but you got half the bases named after Confederate soldiers. You rebuilt Germany after trying to destroy you twice in 20 years. And Japan. What did Africa get? Zip. African Americans get? Zip. What slaveholders get? Reparations. That's the kind of sadistic, sick mentality this country is built on. And when liberals try to reconcile the aspirations and the dreams of this country with its reality, you mock them. You mock them for being woke. You mock them for being truly patriotic. They're not willing to flush this whole country down the toilet, trying to take up the last little 1% of power and resources when you got 99% of it. They're not willing to do that. They live good already. They realize how good they've got it. And they're not going to extract any more enjoyment with one more incarcerated black, with one more this, one more that. They know how good they've got it. They don't want the whole damn thing ruined. But you're willing to flush it all away, trying to oppress people. You need to snap out of it. There's no conservative doctrine. It's not. It's simple-minded bigotry. Everybody wants a smaller government. You know we can have a smaller government? Not spend more on the military than the rest of the world combined. How small you want to get it? We can just have local militias to defend us if anybody ever dares to make it to these shores. We don't need 400 military bases around the world. Is that small enough for you? Is it small enough that we don't need almost 1 million cops? Is that a smaller government? No, smaller government means what you want it to mean, when you want it to mean. There's amendments for blacks, there's amendments for women, but you focus on the amendments you want. That's not how the Constitution works. And this country is going to work for everybody, or it's not going to work for anybody. That's where the line is being drawn. There's no other way around it at this point. We're at the precipice. Do we go forward together, or do we go forward together under another banner, under another flag? Because that's how it's going to shake out. And what you need to realize is that you're hearkening back to things that didn't work out. People that believed that if slavery ended, everything would collapse. It didn't. 60 years ago, they believed if blacks were drinking from the same water fountain, or attending the same schools, or getting in the same swimming pool. When's the last time you went in a hotel room and wondered or gave a damn if the people that had the hotel room before you were black? It doesn't really matter. If we stop mass incarceration, if we stop holding black people down in the inner city, America won't end. Just some of this internal strife will allow us all to collectively, finally, end the last hyphenated Americans. But you can decide which way you want to take it. But you have a lot more to lose than the people you're trying to oppress. They're oppressed. They're Luke Skywalker. You're Darth Vader. You're not the good guys in this story. You're the bad guys. You're the Empire. You're trying to hold it. For what? There's nothing for you to gain. As a matter of fact, there's only freedom. There was only freedom for people in the South once they stopped worrying about making black people sit in the back of the bus or getting up if they sat at a diner or keeping their kids away if they went in the swimming pool and all of that. Once they were just able to relax and say, hey, fine, go play with them. Go ahead and jump in the pool and play with those other kids. It's relaxing. The sky is not going to fall the way you think it's going to. But those are some of the things I want to straighten out because, of course, Jordan Peterson said, my people follow me, and if you look at the comments on my site, you'll see that they're a grade above all the other. They're not. They're the same old shit that I'm getting, that I see in Yahoo or anything else, where you don't even understand why they're even watching it. They don't even like the content. They just feel so fucking entitled that it's their job to get on there and say, hey, fuck you, you son of a... Fuck you. That's why the outro is the way it is. You're nobody. You're an internet troll. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I'm explaining my position. I can explain it in fucking detail, and you don't know a goddamn thing about what you're talking about. Shut the fuck up. Learn some history. Learn about the world. Learn about this country. Learn about what people are fighting about. Don't just automatically be dismissive. I know what you were trained to believe. I know it. You're a fucking chimp aping the same shit that we were all taught. And you're mocking blacks, you're mocking liberals and like they don't get it. We all know what you were taught. White liberals were taught the same shit you're being taught. I was taught the same shit you believe. We grew up. We learned better. And if you were half a human being, you would too. As usual. Fuck you. Don't need you to subscribe. Don't give a fuck about your comments. And I'm a grown-ass man, so my life doesn't revolve around likes. I'm just some guy, and only I know what's best. Have a great evening.